So now we're on my ship, and here you can see the USS Viola, which is really a terrible name for this ship, but whatever. And I am currently outside Earth's space dock. And you can see there are a crap load of ships out here, which is usually the case. Everybody hangs out outside the shipyard, or outside the space dock. Now, since I'm inside a system. I'm inside the Earth space dock Earth system, Sol. So what I want to do is I need to leave and go to sector space. Now again, if you look underneath your map, it'll be the same place that the beam up to ship button was. In this case, it's depart system. So we're going to depart. I don't know if you can actually hear that because, once again, my sound is turned down. But that is Leonard Nimoy giving the recitation, or not recitation, it's Leonard Nimoy telling you about Sirius Sector. Each time you go to a major sector, Leonard Nimoy has a little voiceover and he'll tell you some stuff. It's kind of neat. Spock talks to you. So, now, alright, real quick, the other buttons on your screen. We'll just kind of give you a quick heads up. Next to your mini-map, you have, like I said, you've got Depart System, which you can't do when you're in sector space. If you look on your map, you'll see that this is sector space. This tells you the big area with lots of systems. Then you go to your galaxy map, and we're in the Sirius block, right in the middle here. And this shows you all the different sectors. So you got Alpha Centauri, Regulus, Civalorum, Taudewa, Picanus, Eta Eridani, Omega Leonis. There's all kinds of them. And then you can also go to a system list if you just want to see a quick heads up of what systems are around. So we'll come back to that here in a minute. You have Transwarp. Transwarp is really handy. If you played any other MMO, it's like your Hearthstone or your Lifestone or whatever they call it for that, where it gives you a way to quickly transport back to somewhere safe to log out in. Going somewhere safe isn't really a huge deal in this game, but it's also a quick way to transport yourself across larger distances. When you start out the game, you only have access to the Sol system Transwarp. If you're part of a fleet that has hit Tier 1 and has done the Transwarp project, then you also will have the Fleet Starbase system Transwarp. Now, as a note, the Fleet Starbase system Transwarp by itself will not let you go anywhere special other than to the base, because when you leave, you'll come right back to where you left. However, this would let me transwarp automatically back to Earth space dock from anywhere in the galaxy. Really handy. And then there are ships that have extra transwarp locations. There's items you can buy with the lithium that will give you... They're temporary items, they're consumed on use, and they would let you transport to different places. And for... This is annoying, real quick, as a side note. There are merchant ships. And the merchant ships, when they're near you, they'll fly off after a little while, and for some reason, they always assume that anybody nearby them was trying to shop with them. So even just closing it, they just keep popping up. So I'm gonna move real quick. We're gonna fly away a little bit, just to get myself outside of range of this stuff. Anyways, transwarps. For Federation side, there are diplomatic missions you can do as part of the duty officer system. And we'll cover those again once we're able to actually access the duty officer system at level 7. But there's 4 ranks of each commendation type, and for diplomacy, each rank opens up a new transwarp location. So there's various ways you can get multiple locations to transwarp to, and it's really nice for being able to get around the map quickly. So now, just like when we were doing the ground map, if you open up your main map, you can see there is a system. There is something highlighted with a glowing circle. And this is the SS Azura. So if you double left click on a system or something that's highlighted on the map, double click on the icon, you can automatically plot a course to that location, auto travel. It's real handy, saves you the hassle of actually, navigating sector space. It's one of the perks of being a captain, because you can just tell your navigator, hey, we want to go there, go do that for me. Okay, so this is the distress call coming out from the Azura. Dana Brat is the commander of the transport. Their warp containment field is down, radiation's flooding the ship, communications and life support's failing, they can't inject their warp core, they need help. They're about to go boom, and it's not good, so please help us. Well, that is what we're here to do. That is what our mission is, because this will give us fat loots and let us continue on with our storyline stuff. So we are going to head up and fly close. Generally speaking, whenever you're trying to go to a location, you need to get with under half of a kilometer away from it before you can interact with it. That's not always the case. The distances vary depending on what it is, but that is the case in this one. So we can rescue the SS Azura. If you look on the right side of your map, there's a couple of buttons you can use. Info is a tutorial thing. Click on that once, it goes away. Disable astrometrics. That will turn off the background stuff. That gives you a more clean space, but I find I like the navigation points and the grid and everything, just because it makes it easier to see where you're going and what you're doing. And then there's incoming message, so you can usually replay any messages that just came through, or that you're. So if you weren't entirely sure what you were doing, or you accidentally closed the window, usually there's a message over on the side of your screen that'll say, hey, this is what you're doing. So we're going to click Rescue the SS Azura, and we're going to head to the mission. Alright, and we're coming into Stranded in Space. You get the cool little title at the top of your screen like it's an actual episode of the show, which is fun. Alright, so please help. They're surrounded by Orion Raiders, which is why their ship is damaged. Orions are nasty, nasty little things. The only redeeming quality for most Orion Raiders is their slave girls. And that is because I'm a male chauvinist pig. I'm sorry, folks. It's true. I like sexy green ladies. Me and Captain Kirk. I'm right there with him. Alright, so we get sort of a little pseudo cutscene as we see the ships attacking the Azura and more ships coming in. And this is one thing that annoys me about the game. I'll be upfront. This is one of those things that will it's an irritant more than anything else, is that you'll get pop-up menus. And when you get a pop-up window giving you some information, unfortunately that will stop you. Even if you're flying, I have my speed all the way up, or I'm in transwarp or whatever, that window pops up, your ship stops. And it's really obnoxious. Alright. So we have 2 Orion corvettes ahead of me. We have to destroy all of them. There's 2 of us ahead of us, and there's 2 of them attacking the Azura. Fortunately, because this is a storyline mission, the Azura is relatively indestructible. Our mission is not to save the Azura at the moment, which means that the ships can attack it all they want. They're not going to actually kill it. So we're going to use our high-yield torpedo and fire. And boom! Since I stripped the shields off, I did a lot of damage with the torpedo, which is kind of fun. And I need to do some work on my hotbars here as soon as I'm out of combat, because I just keep hitting the wrong buttons. I forgot to rejuggle things. Unfortunately, whenever you get a new ship, and sometimes when you switch ships, you have to redo your hotbars, because things will move around or will get removed, and it's really annoying. Okay, and I ran out of time, so we're going to... unfortunately, low-level combat's a little boring. Unlike when you were fighting in the tutorial, these ships actually have some shields and some hull, so combat can take a little bit, unless you get lucky and get a crit on a torpedo hit or something. So we're going to get in here, attack some more. Oh, I'm not auto-firing either. That doesn't help any. I'm used to that. There we go. And we're going to get up in here, fire a torpedo. Fire another torpedo and then broadside a little bit. Yeah, later on, combat's a lot more dynamic and a lot more fun. At the lower levels, combat's not bad. I still enjoy it, the space combat, but it tends to be a little slower, a little more ponderous because you only have a couple of weapons and you just don't do that much damage. As you get higher level ships, you get more weapon slots, and of course your ship's weapons start doing more damage. And despite the fact that ships tend to have more hull and stuff, more hull, more shields, combat still tends to move faster. So okay, I killed him, and you'll see there's some glowing stuff. And over on the right-hand side of the screen, and now that I'm out of combat, it's in the middle of the screen, I can take the item. So I'm going to hit F and pick up my loot. I found a Temporal Lockbox. Fortunately, the Temporal Lockboxes are only in the game for a couple more days, and then they'll switch over to a new lockbox probably in the next couple weeks. Lockboxes are kind of annoying. They have some really cool stuff in them that they drop. There's usually at least one, usually more special ships, duty officers, gear, all kinds of stuff. However, the only way to open those is with lockbox keys. And the keys are technically only available through the Zen store. Or if you have enough money, you can buy them on the exchange because people buy them with Zen and then sell them. Oh, as a note, it's technically the Cryptic store, the C store, but the points are now Zen points. So I just tend to refer to it as the Zen store, but that is not the correct name. So if anybody feels like calling me out on it, that's cool. I know that I'm calling it the wrong thing, and I don't actually care. So I'm going to take the lockbox because eventually I'm going to get 1,000,000 of those, and I'm going to build a fort out of them. No, you can't really do that, but it would be cool. And then there's another item. It is a Disruptor Cannon Mark 1. Cannons are kind of cool because they are a little bit more powerful than the beam arrays. However, they have a fairly a narrower range of a narrower arc of fire. And there's single cannons, double cannons, and then there's dual heavy cannons. And dual heavy cannons do the most damage but don't fire as fast. Dual cannons tend to be your best overall, I think, as far as actual damage output, although I prefer heavies because I like the punch. But for the time being, I'm going to stick with what I've got. I'm not going to switch over to disruptors, especially because since that is a disruptor weapon, the tactical phaser relay that I got would not give it bonus damage. So then I need to, before I forget, I'm going to hit P. P brings up your available skills. In space, it gives you all your space skills. On the ground, it gives you all your ground skills. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to right-click and drag stuff off of my bar. I'm just going to clear my bar completely. I'm actually going to set up a second hotbar. The bar listed 1. You'll notice on the boxes it says 1, 2, 3, 4. That is because those are the hotkeys for 1, 2, 3, and 4. Under bar number 2, it says C1, C2, C3. That's control. So control 1 would toggle the C1 power. Everybody has their own way of setting up their hotbars. I know some people prefer to put their... because one of the things, if you look through the skill list here, you'll see that High Yield Torpedo, which is my bridge officer ability, is actually one of my powers that I can slot into a hotbar. And some people like to have their bridge officer abilities on the hotbar. I don't, because you also have the bridge officers down here. So I can just click there if I want to use it, rather than using a hotkey. But everybody's got it differently. Distribute shield power I find to be very useful, because that will balance my shields. So if I've taken a lot of damage to my front shield and no damage to my back and sides, it will take a little bit away from the back and sides and put it to my front. So I like to balance out my shields fairly regularly, and I usually put that under my 1 key so that I can spam that during combat. The grappler I like to have out, because that is useful, and I would have, if I'd have been thinking about it, I would have shown it to you. I keep my phasers on auto fire, which again, if you if you right click on your weapon bar down here and it turns green, that means it's now auto firing, which it'll automatically keep firing as long as you have an enemy targeted and you're attacking them. I like to have those on, but I do not like to have the torpedoes on, so that lets me use those a little more strategically, because it's really annoying to have the shields drop, but your torpedoes got several seconds of cooldown still, so you can't hit them at the right spot. So I usually put that on my number 2 button. I don't put my phaser beam arrays on there, because since they are on auto fire, I don't need to worry about those. I will put my shield battery, my weapon battery up there. And that's all I can really do at the moment, because I just don't have that many powers yet. Eventually you'll get a lot more powers and a lot more things you can do. But, you know, obviously I'm first level at the moment, so I don't get much to play with. So I am going to scan the Azura, because that's my next objective. And then I have to go to the transporter room. Now again, because I only have Corpsa, now I'm getting a full away team. But as you can see, I only get security guards, because I do not have any other bridge officers to assign. So we'll take it. Alright, we are now at our transporter room. Usually you don't have to come here, but this just gives you, it's like the tutorial, it gives you a chance to see what you're doing and play it out a little bit. So we have to use the transporter. So we come over here. And you can see we have a bunch of different security officers too. It's kind of fun. So we're going to beam out. Okay, so we are now on the Azura, and if you look, our goals have updated, and we now need to shut down the plasma leaks. And yada yada yada. They've picked up life signs, so that means there's probably Orions on here that we need to kill. And in fact, I know there's Orions on here that we need to kill. Now, you'll see there's this big plasma thing here going on, and we can't advance. There is a console we can use. I'm going to wait on that for just a moment, because there is a side room, and you always want to make sure you're checking your side rooms. I'm not going to be able to do this because we'll come down. There's a crew member that's hurt. You need the science career is required to complete this task, so this is something only a science officer can do. So sadly, I can't complete this, but if you're a science officer and you're in here, keep an eye out for that. There is an accolade that's attached to that. So we're going to bypass this plasma cloud. And then if you look on the mini-map, you can see we have red dots up ahead. So we're going to turn the corner. And oh, look, Orions. So I'm going to back up a little bit. She's going to throw a grenade. And we're going to shoot the crap out of these Orion brutes. And there's loot. And that was a Ferengi jellied gree worm. Ooh. Ferengi have such refined palates. Alright, we have a side room, and this side room actually has Orions in it as well. So we're going to shoot the Orions, because that's a fun game to play. We're going to back up a little bit, let the security guards take a little bit of damage, because that's what they're for. We got another lockbox. Yeah, you get used to the lockboxes because you get a ton of them. And here we go. Here's the console we need to bypass the next plasma conduit. So we've got 2 of 3. You will also occasionally find these anomalous readings. And we'll go ahead and do one of these. I generally ignore them anymore because you get a ton of them, and the primary thing you use these for is crafting, although you do need them occasionally for things like duty officer missions. But you do this, you click on it, and you have to play a little mini game. And you have these waveforms, and you have to make them bigger, smaller, but you have to match them up with the main line. And when you do, if you match it up, you get more. If you fail, you'll get fewer, and you find some sort of data sample. And there's a bunch of different names for the data samples. And like I said, the primary thing they're used for is crafting. But occasionally use them for other stuff. And there's a random, you occasionally find crates or whatever else that you can loot. And in this case, there was a shield charge and a hypo, which I could equip and will equip on Corpsa. So let's open my inventory. We're going to give her a hypo and a shield charge. And the hypo, when she gets injured, she'll use the hypos. And when she takes shield damage, she'll use the shield charge to regenerate some of her shield. Your bridge officers will use those fairly frequently and use them up pretty quickly. They don't use them strategically at all. So, but on the other hand, they don't really sell for anything, and they're not really all that worthwhile. So, alright, and we have more Orions in here. Oh, and when you're in combat, you can do some stuff like if you crouch, hit C. C will let you crouch and hide behind things, which is useful sometimes if the combat's pretty tough. Hey. Now, that's cool. We just got a new weapon. So I'm going to actually give that to Corsa, because that's probably going to be better than what she's wielding. Yep. A pair of phaser dual pistols. So now she's going gunslinger style. Because she's got a pistol in each hand, which is pretty cool. Not very Star Trek in my opinion, because I don't remember ever seeing anybody rocking out dual pistols like that, but that's alright. It's still cool. I still like it. So we shut down the last plasma coolant, and oh look! Here's Captain Brat. There's a warp core breach imminent. Nothing I can do at the moment here. So let's talk to Captain Brat. We have to escort the Orions, the crew of the Azura back. And there's another data sample, but I'm not going to grab it because I'm not that worried about it. Oh. Cutscene, and I'm going to guess, oh yes, Orion's beaming in. So, one of the other things you can do is I can go into, if I hit B, that actually puts me into first-person mode, which is interesting. Instead of auto-targeting, you kind of just play this way. You actually do more damage in first-person mode, but it's a lot harder to hit things. And the game's not really designed to be played this way. So, I generally don't play that style. I don't like it. I rather play the traditional, you know, auto-target, auto-fire type thing. But it is an option, and it does give you a different style of play if you want to do something different. And some people do like it, so, you know, try it. If you like it, rock on. Got another hypo, because, you know, you get lots of those. Come around the corner, and I think that's it for those things. So yeah, okay. Back to a cutscene, go to the transporter, we'll be right behind you. Man, he's goofy looking. Way team to the Viola. Chief, are you ready? blah, blah, blah. And medical team comes running in to check them out. We have them, sir. Sensors detect more Orion ships on the way. We need you back on the bridge. Of course. So now we need to go to the transporter. And there is an engineering linked accolade I could do if I go back and play with this, but I'm not going to bother. It's kind of neat, but you can overload the engines, and I think you do some damage to the Orion ships, but it's not really worth the waste of time, in my opinion. But, you know, if you're playing a new character and you want to make sure you get the accolades, that's something to keep an eye out for. So we need to go back to the turbo lift and use the turbo lift. And this will put us into space, I think. Yeah. And now we're in combat. There we go. Knock down their shields, hit them with a high-yield torpedo, and that makes that combat much quicker. Yeah, torpedoes can be great if you can use them at the right spots. Oh, now we got a Slave Master battleship, which is a heavier ship. So we will swing around. I'm actually going to use my grappler. You can see the grappler kind of slows it down. It's not turning or moving as fast, which is nice for me to set up a torpedo shot. And you'll notice since I did not put any points into high-yield torpedo, Corsica is currently on a 2-minute cooldown for it, which is a ton of time when you're in combat. If I get her completely, if I fill it all the way up, give her all the ranks in it, eventually she'll get it down to a 30-second cooldown, which is much more useful. But for the moment, okay, good. Yep, see, I hit him with the double torpedo, and he didn't have much hull left, but the shields had popped enough that... So, and I got an engine battery, but I also got... You'll see this one has a green glowy. That means I just picked up an uncommon item. So we're going to ignore that for just a moment. Go to the my ship paper doll, and we're going to take a look. All right, we got a Science Shield Emitter Amplifier Mark 1. See, now that's kind of cool, because what that does is that gives me a bonus shield regeneration rate, which means my shields come back faster after being damaged. So we are going to slot that. And since this is an uncommon or better item, if I equip it, it locks to me so that I can't trade it or sell it. Well, I can sell it to a vendor, which doesn't give me much money, but I can't auction it off. So, but I'm going to because it's useful. Now I can approach the Azura, and I can grab Captain Brat because she apparently did not transport back with her crew, because I think she was trying one last-ditch attempt to save her ship. So let's transport her. Uh-oh. Attempting to get a transporter lock, boosting containment. Ah. We grabbed her, fortunately. Before the ship went boom. Alright. So, and I am done. Da-da-da. So I hit continue. And now I am to depart system. Usually there'll be a message, like I can pull this up and talk to one of my bridge officers and leave the system. Or optionally, I can use the depart system button at the top of the screen. We're going to click on her. It says, you have completed all objectives in the area. Do you wish to leave the system? Yes. I could go around and grab these anomalous readings and stuff, but like I said before, not that interested. So we leave the system. We load. And we're going to turn this in. So to turn in a mission that you've completed, if you wait a few minutes, usually this pops up. But just in case, I'm going to close this out and not take it right now. And I never did finish explaining the various buttons next to your minimap. One of the buttons towards the bottom that has the Star Trek chevron logo says Hail Starfleet. If you hit that, it opens this window up. Overview gives you a bunch of information. We'll cover that in a minute. But it'll usually have your current mission. If it's completed, we'll tell you right here, and you can just click it. Or you go over to In Progress, and it tells you which ones you have ready to turn in. So Hail Starfleet. All right, well done, Lieutenant. You saved the crew just in time, and we're going to get some stuff. This time we're just getting a whole bunch of stuff, and we're not getting a choice. They're just like, here, have a bunch of toys. So we're going to get a bunch of skill points. We're going to get some expertise. We're going to get the Azura personal comm code, which is really useful. We're going to get an engineering officer, a science officer. This is why I suggested taking the tactical officer as your first character. Or was that an option? I don't remember. Sorry. It's been a little while. But you're also going to get some armor and a shield. So we're going to continue. We got a whole bunch of new toys. And I leveled up, so I am now level 2. And then we get Captain Sulu, who is Hikara Sulu from the original show. That is his grandson, or great-grandson. Alright, and we have bridge officers. So we have an Andorian bridge officer who is ready to join us, so we'll join. And I'm not going to mess with him. We'll leave Thorl. And we have a mission from Admiral Quinn. Yeah, you'll get all kinds of pop-ups, especially as you level up and stuff. It's kind of annoying because it doesn't let you do... You'll be in the middle of doing something and they'll say, hey, do this too. So our next mission is Diplomatic Orders, which is there's a Vulcan ambassador that is traveling from his homeworld to the Monastery of Pajem. So we need to go to Vulcan and pick him up and then take him over to Pajem. So I'm going to accept that because, well, that's the next mission. There's also a mission called Outreach. We're going to take that because that's a tutorial mission of sorts. So we're going to exit there. I can rename Thorl or I can change his uniform. I'm not going to bother. Now, you'll notice that you got 2 missions. Or you got 2 bridge officers. But it only said, hey, do you want to do something with one? That's because it just doesn't handle multiple bridge officers at once. So it shows you who you've got in here. And if you've got any bridge officer candidates that you have not accepted or dismissed, they will be listed over here next to your bridge officer candidates. So we have a Trill female science officer. So I'm going to double click on her. And that will bring her up. And she wants to know if she can join. And I can say not now and she'll stay there. And I could sell her, trade her, or just dismiss her later. Or I can take her. And I'm going to go ahead and take her. Because I need another bridge officer. So I'm getting Ozraz, the Trill. And I could change her again, change uniform, rename, not going to bother. So that is that. Now, I also got the Azura personal comm code. This has I think an hour or 2 hour cooldown. I don't remember exactly. But when you use it, the Azura 2, because Captain Brott buys another ship and names it the Azura 2, it will summon that to you. And since somebody has one here, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And she's all happy about the new ship. And you can browse commodities. So she will sell certain commodities. Not all of them, but she sells a few. And you need the commodities for all kinds of different stuff. Usually you need them for duty officer missions, but you'll also need them for fleet projects. And you might need them for occasionally for missions. I don't remember. You definitely need them for certain diplomatic missions you might need to do. So she's got those. So cancel out there. Oh, and it only lasts a certain amount of time. So the Azura is gone. So I'm going to go ahead and summon my Azura. Use. There we go. That way it'll last a little bit longer. And there's the Azura right there. big freighter ship. So talk to the Azura. So you have the commodities, you can do a mailbox, you can check your bank, and you can check the exchange. The Azura is really handy for when you're out and about and you're in the middle of a bunch of missions and you don't really feel like flying all the way back to Starbase. I also got some loot that I can, or some items that I can use. So I got a piece of armor, energy dampening armor, and that gives me resistances to different things. So I'm going to go ahead and equip the armor. And you'll notice something immediately when I equip this armor. Oh my god, what is that hideous thing I am now wearing? Yeah, armor in this game is just awful looking, in my opinion. Some folks like it, I suppose, but I am not a fan of most of the armor styles. They all look like really bad bodysuits. And they're not even, like, cool looking. They're just awful. And they'll be in the color of whatever your class is. So yellow for engineering, red for tactical. And you can't change those. You can't do anything about those. However, what you can do is, like the kit, there's a little eyeball next to the icon, next to the slot. I click that, and it turns the armor off. So now I'm back to wearing my uniform. And I like that because in the show, you almost never saw anybody wear armor of any sort. They were always just wearing their fleet uniform. So it's a little more classic Trek. You'll also notice there's a little eyeball next to the weapons. And the reason for that is you might have seen when I was running around the starbase, as I was running around, you could see the weapons slung on my back. Which is kind of cool, but at the same time, you don't necessarily always want to be running around starbase wearing your weapon. So if you hit the eyeball there, it doesn't really affect anything here, but when you're not in combat and you're not actively holding your weapon, you won't necessarily see it slung over your back or whatever, which is nice. Now, I also got a shield array Mark II, and that also has, if you notice in brackets next to it, it says DIS. And what that means is, if you look under you look at the bottom of the shield array description, it says reduces disruptor damage to shields by 20%. So DIS stands for disruptor. It has a special trait which gives it disruptor bonuses. So if it was phaser, it might say PHA, Phay, or whatever, if it gave a resistance to phaser damage. So whatever. Either way, it is a better shield than what I'm currently using. It has a higher shield regeneration than what I'm using. And it's green, so it's usually going to be better and it's higher level. So we're going to just go ahead and double-click that to slot it, and OK to lock it into place. All right, and that was the Azura. So I've done a lot of talking about the basics of the game. So from here on out, the walkthrough should go a little quicker because I don't have to stop and say, oh, well, we're doing this, and this is how we do this. Some of the background explanation stuff should be done. So hopefully I won't need to repeat that stuff. But anyways, that's it for today. That's it for now. Thank you for playing along with me, or watching along as I played. Hopefully this was informative, useful, entertaining, or just a way to waste an hour or so. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.